Hello! It was yesterday, August 17th, 2021, that I finished Pawn of Prophecy, the first book of the Bulgariad. And I want to preface this by saying that this is the first opportunity I've had to record this. I finished the book when I was in the middle of nowhere. No service or anything, out in the mountains. So there wasn't really that much I could do other than an audio recording, and that didn't go well. So, here I am, a day late, past midnight. I'm sorry, I am a little bit tired. So again, I just wanted to kind of give that warning at the beginning that I am sleepy, but despite my sleepiness, I'm going to try my best to convey my enthusiasm for this book. It was really fun, like really fun. I think this book reminded me of, okay, let's start that over. This book was a lot of fun, and I think a big part of why it was fun was because it kind of had this childhood nostalgia, even though I can't really link it to any particular part of my childhood. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's this, it feels like it should be nostalgic for me, even if I don't actually know anything that's much like it other than maybe never-ending story. But it's really fun. There's so many things I like. I'm trying to avoid the spoiler section for as long as I can. I don't really know what much to say. It's just fun. The pacing was really good. I can start off there. Given how many years pass in the book, and how small scale the book starts, and how big scale the book gets over time, the pacing was done like amazingly by the author. Because you start in this little tiny world, very limited characters, and you know, obviously no character development has occurred yet because you're at the beginning of the book. But when you reach the end of the book, this has grown to like a good portion. It grows, and it's gradual, but at the same time the spikes are what like it gradually grows over time, but there are spikes inside the gradual growth that really catch your attention sometimes, especially with some minor plot twist. I say minor plot twist. They are kind of big plot twists, I guess, but the problem is I've read a lot of books recently with plot twists. So, I'm going to say minor plot twists, but very fun plot twists. I did not see them coming. Gotta say that. I think the other reason why I found this book so much fun is because this is kind of a two-parter. It's because I'm a mystery reader, and there's this big mystery thing going on where the main character, Garion, doesn't really know what's going on, and so he's trying to figure out what's going on, and the author feeds you these little tiny like pieces of bait to like draw you in, but then he never actually feeds you enough information to make you satisfied, and he just leads you along the whole book. He does it really good. So it's a mystery the entire time. You're like learning like little tiny clues, very small clues, but in the end we don't really know that much, the big picture. This is book 1 out of a 5-book series, so there is that. Last thing, this isn't a spoiler, but it is going into how the book was written. The prologue gives away a lot about the world. Like, I don't actually know if it is a prologue per se, but that's what I figure it is. It basically, it like explains the entire origin of the world to you, right? And then the entire time you're reading the book, anytime the origin of the world comes up, you're like, we already know this. But the main character doesn't know it. Oh no! Why is that? Oh no. Well, dramatic irony is a jerk. Dramatic irony is torture to me, especially when an author knows how to use it. And I gotta say, this author really led you on a dramatic irony sometimes, because you know something, or you can assume something because it's a destiny story. But of course, Garion or some other character doesn't see it because, you know, they're living it, they're not reading the book. Torture. But yeah, so to really summarize all of that, the pacing was really good. It was kind of mystery, where he gives you little tidbits, but at the same time, he's also using dramatic irony along with the mystery. It just made this amalgamation. It was really fun. It's fun. I said that I would start doing a rating and a favorite character before I got into spoilers. I hate rating things. Just to get that off my chest. Every time I rate something on like a 1 to 5 scale, I'm comparing it to other books, and especially with cases like this book, it just doesn't compare. Like, you can't compare Pawn of Prophecy to anything I've read previously. It just doesn't work. So I'm gonna say, if we're on Goodreads and you can only do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no point somethings, I gave it a 4. Because it's really fun, it's enjoyable. It is not a 3, but I can't say a 5 because all my 5 books are like the oh my god, oh my god, oh my god books. So it gets that middle range 4. I don't know if there will ever be a day I give something a 2. We will see, I guess. But yeah, and then favorite character, I have 2 favorites. If I had to choose just one, oh god, I love them both. I love them both so much. I'm gonna say Aunt Paul. Alright? I think Aunt Paul's my favorite if I had to choose between the 2, but I'm gonna get into that spoilers, believe you me. So yeah, spoiler section, giving you time to leave if you don't want spoilers. Alright, so I loved Aunt Paul and the wolf. I know that we're in spoilers, so I technically could use like their greater names or some other names, but I'm just going to use the names that we first learned when we met them, and I'm going to do that with all the characters. It's just easier that way, and those are the ones that I bothered to learn how to pronounce. So yeah, but Aunt Paul and the wolf are my 2 favorites by far. The entire time we're like learning little tidbits about them. I liked them even before they were like powerful and cool and awesome and mysterious. Like, all the way back at the beginning, Aunt Paul just had some sass that was on point. She's like, Garion, go do your chores. Like, she had eyes on him. She was ready. I just love like how she grew as a mother figure. Like, especially as that progressed, as he aged, which also the author did really good at the aging. As he aged, you could see her grow into the mother figure character, and then she has another arc where she's kind of going too far with it, but sometimes she's supposed to be overprotective, so she's like trying to find that balance. Great character arc, really fun, and again, she just has some sass, she has some comments. And sass, there's another word that isn't sass that I want to say, but I can't think of the word, and it's giving me trouble right now. But she has some amazing quotes and moments that are really amazing. And you can also tell that she's like powerful in her presence. Whoa, my screen's being weird. She has like a very powerful presence. Like, anytime she's there, you can tell that she could say something and people would like follow her. She's like a leader kind of figure. So you can tell that she's just powerful, not even in terms of like actual sorcery. She's just like powerful in like how she carries herself as a woman. So I love Aunt Paul. The wolf is very interesting because he's like the mysterious old man that knows everything. He's like wise, but you know nothing about him. He's that when we first meet him, he's portrayed as like the storyteller that comes by, and he really is the storyteller that comes by. Like, if you think about in like other series and books and movies and things, it's like the storyteller's like the mysterious character that you want to know everything about, and they themselves have lived through all these things, let alone the stories they tell, but you never really learn about them until over time it turns out that they're like a significant figure in the plot. It's exactly what happened with this character. It's kind of it's an archetype. There we go. And he used it well. The author used it really well. Again, the mysterious, the wisdom, you can see the comments. He's very sly. I have a list that my friend and I joke about, like the things that instantly make me like a character, and one of the main ones is sly with 7 Ys, because I really like sly characters, and that is exactly what the wolf is, Mr. Wolf. Go through another way. Sly. He's subtle. He's like subtle, but also he has like these philosophical quotes that are thrown in there, like little like tidbits, maybe like once a chapter. I think there were 22 chapters total. Once a chapter, or maybe once every other chapter, you'd have this little philosophical quote or like opinion, realism, or something like that thrown in there. It kind of like alludes to his wisdom, but at the same time he's like grumpy old man who also gets a little bit too proud of himself. Like, he has all these different things going on. It kind of brought him to life for me. So that's the other reason that's the other character I love, was the wolf, because he has a lot going about him, even though he's fitting this archetype. And he's sly. He's just a fun character in the end. And he's also a leader figure. I mean, these are 2 like big characters, as you find out at the end, Belgarath and Bulgaria. But really cool. Just saying. And in the prologue, again, it talks about these significant figures, one with the silver lock. So as soon as I noticed that Aunt Paula had a silver lock in her hair, I was like, I was paying attention. I was ready. So these are also the 2 characters that were under my scrutiny the most. I love them. All right. And they're also powerful. On top of all of their character, like just who they are, plus their character development, plus their attitudes, and plus how they treat Garion, which is also hilarious, especially as he ages, they are powerful. And it's awesome. Alright, next thing. Silk teaches the secret language to Garion, and I just wanted to say that I loved the secret language, its usage throughout the book, the development of it, how it came up, and how the teaching of it and mention of it progressed. I really liked how the author did all of it. And secret languages are really cool, and I think it's really smart that it's like the hand movements. I don't think I've ever seen that, and I'm shocked that I have never seen a secret language that's just hand movements. I did once watch a show that had eye movements as a language, but I don't know how realistic that can be. Hand movements makes a lot more sense, and I'm shocked that I've never saw that before, but it's really cool. And again, it's just that pacing. The author knows, as soon as he like brought up like alright, here Silk is now going to teach Garion this language. This is good morning, and then there's a time skip to when he knows a little bit, but not enough. And of course, the wolf and Aunt Paul are using it at each other, and he can only get like half the words. And obviously the words he doesn't know are the words that are what you want to know. The author's a tease. It's what I'm trying to get at here. It's like such a tease. The dramatic irony and the mystery and the clues. I really want to start the 2nd book already because I want to figure it out. Anyway, so language. leads to more teasing. But again, the pacing, he learns just enough to, at the end, he can now interpret most things, but I'm sure that there's still a lot of words that are going to come up that he doesn't know, and he's going to be like, Silk, what does this mean? I think that it's not what I have written next, but that's a perfect segue into just talking about Garion's aging over time. Again, talking about the pacing, but also just the realism in it. You can tell that Garion ages just by his, like, attitude or his speech. Like, every single part of Garion throughout the book changes as he ages, and the author's really good at being consistent with that change. He doesn't accidentally keep him too much in the kid zone or grow him up too much too fast. Like, it's definitely clear each stage of his age that comes up until the point that he's almost kind of sort of a man. You could argue that, but you know, like, the fact that he asks questions, there's, like, the question stage that's, like, totally a thing, and then, like, he starts to have more attitude, and then, you know, there's the rebellious teenage phase that comes up for a bit. All of it is just very clear, and it's really fun, because you know it's like, oh, he's hit that age now. Oh, no. Aunt Paul's gonna flip out, or something like that. So that's another thing I just really loved about Garion, the main character, was just, you could tell the age was, like, coming over time, and you can also see how conflicted he's starting to feel. Like, I feel like this might not be true, but this is how I personally feel, is that, like, earlier on things make more sense, and then you reach this age where you don't know what's going on and you get confused and you're like, what is going on here? You're trying to, like, figure out your opinions, and you feel conflicted about, like, a lot of things. So I loved that I could see that in Garion. Again, this is character development. I love it. Alright, now back to my list in order. I always love politics. I think I always talked about politics when I read Codex Alera, because amazing politics. This book had some politics. It's very subtle at times, but at other times it's like, this is important. This is, like, a significant moment going on here. Like when all the kings came together, kind of thing. When, like, the kings, like, needed to summon the wolf. It was very intriguing. So, you know, there's things like that, and then there's, like, the glares that people have at each other, of course. So, always love that. And then I already talked about a lot of good sass. Silk also was another character that had some sass. Like, he was rather blunt overall as a character. Side comment, I just wanted to say poor Dernick. I really hope that he gets brought up a little bit more and kind of, like, blooms as a character soon, and that he can have more interactions with Aunt Paul, because I'm curious if Garion is right, or if he's assuming, or I want to know what's going on there. So, just wanted to say poor Dernick. I already kind of alluded to the great plot twist, but I just want to say the time where it's like, father, I was like, oh, I did not see that coming. I'm talking about when Aunt Paul Bulgara called the wolf, Mr. Wolf, Bulgara father. I was like, oh, I felt stupid for a minute, because I was like, I bet I could have figured that out way earlier. It might have been said to me, and it didn't occur to my brain until I heard her say father. But that was a good one. But I think there were, like, 2 or 3 other ones that, like, definitely caught my attention. It was very interesting when he, with his, like, the orb imprint on his hand, touched her Aunt Paul's hair, and there was, like, a door. It's like, ooh. And also, I honestly thought that the voice in the back of his head was the same as Is it Azurak? I think it's Azurak. Oh god. The Murgo. I thought that those were like the same connection, but it actually turned out it wasn't. That caught me off guard. That wasn't a plot twist, but I wanted to say that caught me off guard. I made an assumption that was wrong, and so it actually like spun this whole scene for me, which turned into a plot twist. All right, and then hold on. There were a few moments that I laughed. There were a few internal giggles, but there was at least 3 times that I like actually chuckled out loud or laughed. So there definitely, again, it comes with part of the sass, but also comes with just certain moments. Like, you know something as the reader, and you're like, this is gonna be entertaining, and then it like fulfills your expectations with like how entertaining that scene is gonna be. I don't know if that makes sense, but also really good. Did that. Just Garion trying to like learn as he goes. He keeps eavesdropping. Like, every time he like eavesdrops on a conversation, I'm like, yes, tell me more. So I really do like want to start the next story and learn more. My middle range comments, not good things, not bad things, middle range. Sometimes the world building was hard to follow. There is a lot of names. Like, the amount of names the book throws at you can get hard to follow somewhat quick, especially with the wolf giving all these like world building stories like in the middle. I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit lost. So I started writing names down, but it was a little bit late. So there is a lot of side story world building things that got mentioned in this book that I probably missed. So I might have to come back and look at those, or maybe if it gets mentioned again, I'll remember. But things that like talk about like certain races or certain areas and cities, I'm not gonna remember much of that. I know that, was it Kumar is like the big important city, but I could not tell you any of the other city names right now, even though I just read about 50 or 60% of this book yesterday. So a little bit of struggle there, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that there's a lot going on, so you need to follow a lot, and I'm bad at that personally, but I'm sure other people could like follow along perfectly fine. I already said that this entire story felt like it was calling back to my childhood, but it really does. Like, just, it's the adventure, I guess is the way to say it. It's like, it's so adventurous, and you can tell that like Garion obviously wasn't expecting this adventure, but you know it's gonna be a great adventure. So you're excited for him to like go learn the world, you know? So it just hits that childhood adventurous nostalgia. I really don't know how to convey that, but that's how I felt the entire time I was reading it. I was like, this feels like my childhood, even though I don't really know what in my childhood it's reminding me of. I just want everyone to be happy. I want to say that every time Aunt Paul and Garion fought, especially when Garion got rebellious, but like anytime they fought, anytime they kind of conflicted, I'm just like, I just want you two to be happy and tell each other things. I want to know more, and I want you guys to get along and be like mother figure again. The entire period where Garion thought that he was nothing to Aunt Paul kind of hurt. that was really sad, and the entire time I was like, I just want you two to be happy, okay? Just be happy. So that was definitely something that stood out to me. There was a side theme about, in one nation, women being mistreated, like, a fair bit. And it was like a kind of subtle side theme, but it, like, stuck to me because there were some, like, very blunt comments that, like, they were clear. When they happened, there was, like, it happened maybe 5 times towards the end of the book, but every time those comments that directly were addressing that theme of, like, women being mistreated in this nation, like, they were harsh, they were very blunt, and they stuck with you. Well, at least they stuck with me. So that is oof, but also a really good theme to have, if you ask me. So yeah, I will say that the one, oh, I don't remember the character's name. Oh no. Is it like Barrick? It's not Durnick, it's the other one that has an ick in it. The character that we meet that is friends with Silk. When we first meet Silk, it's the other guy we meet with Silk. He's really tall, and he is native to the nation we're talking about. His wife is kind of a jerk sometimes. I'm gonna be honest about that. She's the person who brings up that theme sometimes, but at the same time she is kind of a jerk about it. So I just wanted to say that she's not really a likable character at all. I like the theme that comes with it, but I don't like her. So that was the comment I was going to say. I don't remember their name. The other character I'm going to say that I'm iffy on is Martia, was how the audiobook author said it. Martia is just weird. She's the old blind lady who, like, gave, like, these prophecies. She kind of felt a little bit out of nowhere. Whenever she appeared, it was kind of sudden. That's kind of a middle range thing. It's not really a bad thing, but I notice those things sometimes if it's not, like, done all that subtly. So I just want to say she's a weird character, but I love how Aunt Paul was cruel and gave her back her eyes. Again, Aunt Paul, all hail. She's like she's an amazing character, and she was quietly evil. Quietly, she was like, I gave her a gift that she will hate for the rest of her life. It's like, she's kind of like a walking contradiction. It's amazing. Okay, so, yay. I'm trying not to drag this out too long, sorry. The action was fun. There wasn't actually all that much action at the beginning. Maybe, like, the biggest part of action was when Gary almost drowned when he was a kid. But later on, obviously the action got to the point where he was, like, running, like, full-on sprinting and, like, trying to, like, dodge people, and he got an arrow shot at him, and, like, he's trying to escape from a Murgo and a bunch of people that he might control? I don't know what he did yet. We'll find that out in the next book, maybe. I don't know. But it's like a full-on chase, escape. There's these armed men coming after him, and he needs to escape kind of thing. I did not see that coming, by the way, where he was, like, searching the room. Did not see that. Nope. So, the action grows, and it kind of grows with his age, but it's kind of subtle. You don't actually expect, like, this much action that you get at the end of the book until you get there. I thought that the action would kind of stay the level with the boar and not go beyond that, but the climax was the climax. It was a very clear climax and a very clear resolution along with it, and so the action did its usual thing, and then it, like, in the climax, it spiked, and it was very entertaining. So, another thing the author did amazing at. Yay! I think that's most everything I had. I think the main thing, it's not the main thing, but the last thing I want to emphasize is that the author feeds you the little tiny tidbits and just makes you hungry for more. So I am hungry for more. It's basically what I want to say there. Alright. That leads to, what am I reading next? I realized it didn't actually hold up the cover of the book, so I'm going to do that really quick, if I can load it. Alright. I do really like the cover. I don't know if this will come out well. It's very subtle. So in the bottom, is that your left? It's my right. I don't know if it's yours left or not. But should be your right. In the bottom right, you have Garion being held by Aunt Paul. Please focus. Please focus. No, you're wasting my time. Well, Aunt Paul's holding Garion, and you can see the one silver lock in her hair, and that's how you know it's Aunt Paul. And then the background's like this map with a hill. And in the map, very subtly, you can see the outline of a wolf in it. It's very subtle, and I really like it. And then on the other side, just this like black figure on a black horse, which you meet at the beginning of the book. It's Azurok. On point. But I really like the subtlety with the wolf in the map. I think it's very fitting to the character. So, yeah. Alright. That is Pawn of Prophecy. What am I reading next? Well, let me tell you. I am probably just going to go straight to the second book of the Bulgaria, which is Queen of Sorcery. Aunt Paul! That's my theory. I may be wrong, though. So, Queen of Sorcery by David Eddings. I was going to try to read some physical books before I moved, but honestly, that isn't really feasible anymore. So, that is probably what I'll read next. Other possibilities: Crimson Campaign. I have not read a single word yet of Crimson Campaign. Soon. It really depends. I don't know if I'm going to go through with Bulgaria first, or if I'm going to try to finish this trilogy first. This is book 2 of the trilogy, so it'd be faster to complete the trilogy than it would be to complete the 5-book series. We will see. I will say, though, that the Bulgaria is kind of small books. I mean, like, this is a fair bit bigger, so shrug. And if I don't read that, I'll be reading Journeyer. I finished, I finished Balk, and now I'm on The Roof of the World. My bookmark's in the wrong place, ignore that. Roof of the World is the next section. And it's decently sized. It's not big, it's just decently sized. I need to finish this book by the end of the year. That is my goal. It's been over a year since I started this book. I need to finish it. So this is the other possibility. Shrug if I'll read that one, or this one, or Queen of Prophecy, Queen of Sorcery. I'm mixing up names now, oh god, I need to sleep. But it'll be one of those 3 books. I can say that much with a fair bit of confidence. If you haven't noticed, I'm moving. My room is in a state. Those are all the books I'm taking. They're vertically stacked just for you to see. Obviously, this series is on the top. But, you know, the rest of them are the rest of them. I mean, there's only 3.5 complete series there, and then there's a standalone and Leviathan Wakes, which will taunt me forever. My poor heart. I do really, really want to read it still. Still, it's there. But not as much as I want to read Queen of Sorcery. I almost said prophecy again. Queen of Sorcery. So, I don't have any new books that I own. I don't think I'll be buying any new books for quite a while. My last update, though, is that some Dresden things are happening. Yes. So, I may reread Dresden. I'm not going to talk about my reread. It's like my 9th reread now. I need to stop. I'm an addict, I swear. My 9th reread, but I am gonna reread a bit of Dresden because I need some. Oh my gosh, what is the word I want? I need some blackmail. That's not the word I want, but I need the tidbits of information and stuff to persuade some people to do things. So, I also need to convince 2 people to start the series, so I'm going to do that as well. But there's some Dresden stuff happening, is all I wanted to say. That's everything. So, I do highly recommend Pond of Prophecy if you have the time to take a step back, do a Destiny story. I guess most books I have are Destiny stories, but you can step back and do a Destiny story. They're pretty short. The audiobook is pretty good. I mean, I kind of alternated between the Kindle and the audiobook. At first I thought that the voice was overdone, but you kind of get into it. It kind of fits, and especially when you have words like Bolgoroth. It works in the voice, I swear. It's good. Okay. So yeah, and very last thing I'll say, if you did read Codex Alera, which I highly, highly, highly recommend, I think Codex Alera is the closest you could get to Pond of Prophecy. They kind of have the same idea to it. Pond of Prophecy has a little bit more exploration, and Codex Alera has more of the supernatural fighting. But they are similar in that they are Destiny stories and that you get really attached to a fair amount of characters, and Gaius is basically the sly old wolf. Except you see Mr. Wolf more than you see Gaius, which, again, another reason that I love this book is because I loved Gaius, but he wasn't on page enough. We get the wolf on page all the time. It's amazing. So, if you read Codex Alera, the series might be for you, maybe? I'm just saying, possibly. I recommend it either way. Good night. I'm gonna sleep now.